This episode of our series builds on the previous one. We'll quickly revise what biomass is, then look at why biomass is lost at each trophic level, and finally, how to calculate biomass transfer efficiency. Consider the journey of energy through a simple food chain. Grass grows using sunlight, cattle eat grass for growth, and humans consume beef. At each step, substantial energy disappears. The cattle use most of their consumed biomass for their own survival, movement, and bodily functions. Additionally, not everything cattle eat can be digested and absorbed. This illustrates the fundamental reality of biomass transfer. It's an inherently wasteful process with massive losses at every stage. Biomass is the total mass of living material in organisms. This biomass transfers through food chains when organisms consume other organisms. However, biomass transfer between trophic levels is startlingly inefficient, with only about 10% passing to the next level. This means 90% of biomass is lost at each transfer, a staggering amount of waste. Why does such dramatic biomass loss occur between trophic levels? Multiple biological processes contribute to this inefficiency, each representing energy that cannot pass up the food chain. First, organisms rarely consume every part of their prey or food source. Herbivores might avoid woody stems, thorns, or roots, whilst carnivores often leave bones, fur, or feathers uneaten. These inedible portions represent biomass that never enters the consumer's body. Even when dealing with apparently edible material, structural components like cellulose in plants prove difficult for many animals to digest. The digestive system cannot break down everything consumed, and undigested material passes through as feces. This waste exits the food chain entirely, returning nutrients to decomposers rather than passing to higher trophic levels. Third, absorbed biomass gets metabolized for various life processes, producing waste products. Respiration uses glucose for energy, releasing carbon dioxide and water as byproducts that cannot be recaptured by the organism. Animals use substantial energy for movement, maintaining body temperature, and other metabolic activities. Warm-blooded animals particularly lose enormous amounts of energy as heat, which dissipates into the environment. Protein metabolism produces nitrogen-based waste excreted as urea in urine. This represents another pathway through which biomass leaves the food chain, carrying away materials that required energy to process. We can calculate biomass transfer efficiency using a straightforward formula. Consider a pond ecosystem with algae, water fleas, small fish, and large fish. The numbers shown represent biomass available at each trophic level. To calculate biomass loss between levels, subtract the biomass at the higher level from that at the lower level. Between algae and water fleas, 364 kilograms is lost. Transfer efficiency equals biomass transferred divided by biomass available multiplied by 100. For algae to water fleas, there is a 9% transfer efficiency. This calculation reveals that only 9% of algal biomass transfers to water fleas. Similar calculations for other levels would show comparably low efficiencies, typically ranging from 5% to 20%. These low efficiencies explain fundamental ecological patterns. Food chains rarely exceed four levels because insufficient energy remains to support additional trophic levels. By the fourth level, only about 0.01% of the original solar energy remains available. This also explains why organism numbers generally decrease at higher trophic levels. Supporting 1 kilogram of large fish requires thousands of kilograms of algae at the base of the food chain. Apex predators like eagles or sharks are necessarily rare because the energy available at their trophic level can support only small populations. Their rarity isn't accidental, but mathematically inevitable given biomass transfer inefficiencies. Understanding biomass transfer reveals why protecting primary producers is crucial for ecosystem stability. Damage to producer populations cascades up food chains, with effects magnified by the 90% loss at each level.